Welcome one all to Bullshit and Bourbon special edition. So was wanting to jump on and address some of the some of the current events. This really isn't crypto, and it's not going to be the kind of the free flow that the Sunday show is. I think this is more of a personal a personal stream. I was going to have some other people on with me. I might have Josh join me just because he's kind of in the same boat as I am, where both of us were left leaning for a long time, and for lack of a better term, saw the light. And as this episode kind of goes on, I'll explain a little more about what I mean by that. So first off, what I want to throw up is this. So earlier today, those of you that don't know, Elizabeth Warren is interesting to say the least. She's somewhat new to politics. Spent some time, I believe it was at Harvard, where she ran into a bit of a scandal where she was claiming to be Native American to help her get the job as a DEI hire or affirmative action hire, whatever you want to call it. That's why everybody calls her Pocahontas. So this lady, she basically defrauds a major university and then runs for political office on the platform of she's going to fight big money in politics, banks and pharmaceuticals and things like that, the pharmaceutical industry, that is. And has since enriched herself, gotten rich, and basically has spent her whole time in office going after cryptocurrency. And yes, I'm a little bit biased on this. My name is Veteran Crypto. I'm very much involved with cryptocurrency. Oh, there he is. All right, blockchain report, Jeff. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, Josh, I sent you the link. I sent it on X if you want to jump in here. And C90, if you want to jump in here too, man, I'd love to just have a powwow, with a bunch of people.
Table.
And yeah, just kind of like I said, that the Sunday show is I try to keep it a little more light, just a couple guys sitting around having drinks, just kind of poking fun at each other. But I think this one's going to be a little more serious. I think we need to address some things. How you doing tonight?
Yeah.
Jeff?
Good, man. Good. Just got off work. So they let us know today we got to go back in the office 4 days a week now. So one of my work from home days gets. So
damn it, yeah.
Trump. But yeah, so I told him Mondays will be my work from home days. I think that's the best day because Fridays people are more chill and you could sneak out early. So I figure why not. But
yeah, other than that, work or
do what?
Do you do government work or?
No. So the company that I work at is Lamb Research, and they make machines and equipment that make semiconductors. So they take the wafers, these like.
I was just wondering because now you guys are getting forced back in the office.
No, man, because I guess there's people in other departments that have been either abusing the work from home policy or their managers just didn't communicate with them effectively to let them know that, hey, this is the policy, and they kind of ruined it. So, but we got people that live like an hour and a half away that are going to have to come in and they're not happy.
Well, at least they're not those people that like move to Texas or, northern Idaho because they could work remotely.
Yeah.
and I'm laughing, but that would suck, that, you're told you're going to be working remotely for, the future. And, so you sell your house and, move out to somewhere. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, now you need to come back. It's like, yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Hey, C90 Chili Rainbow. Hey, if either of you guys want to jump in here and be on the show, I mean, like I said, this is super informal. Shoot me a message on X, and I'll send you a link, and you can join
Just
up.
kick it.
I'd love to have you guys on. You're always showing up, and I'd love to kind of meet you face to face, digitally.
So what'd you get into so far?
So I just went live. So really, I was just starting to talk about Elizabeth Warren. Those of us in crypto are intimately familiar with her past and her shadiness. And so I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of leading into the topic of Doge and the, I think, beautiful work that they've gotten done in 2 short weeks, just over 2 short weeks. And
Yeah.
she's been one of the most vocal, pushing back on it, and the most forward facing. And so I was basically starting to kind of frame it out to where, um, to show the corruption, to be quite blunt and honest, of what she's done to get into office, where she lied to, saying she was Native American to get the job at Harvard, and then ran on a platform of combating corruption and big money in politics, and fighting the banks and big pharma. And she's done nothing but enrich herself and do their
Mm-hmm.
bidding since getting into office. But is the first one to get up, as you can see in the picture, and scream and yell and shake her fist that we need to fight back against the system. And she is the system.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy to see, man.
So Chili, you and C90, if you're not following me on X, it's should be veteran the number 4 crypto is my handle. But yeah, would love to have you on. And then I don't know where Josh went. I sent him an invite as well. But so kind of I'll just start kind of going through some of this stuff. So as many of you may or may not know, kind of it seems like first order of business was, and I don't know why. Oh, hold on. Oh, okay, he's watching the rom-com with his wife. No worries. Mm-mm-mm.
I sent you a link on Twitter in your message that I just saw a few minutes ago. That
Let's see.
if you want to throw that into the conversation at some point with you know whether or not kids of a certain age have certain rights to make decisions for themselves, not like
to make their own decisions about their mental health
surgically.
care. Parents don't have a right to have notice. They don't have a right to have consent about that. Kids over 13 have the complete right to make their own decisions about their mental health care. Parents don't have a right
This
to have notice.
this
They don't
guy
have a right to have
totally
consent
rubs
about
me
that.
as a pedo.
Oh
Kids
my
over
god! Like, uh, I mean, over 18. That's even like still
It's
close.
see,
21, I think, should really be
I personally think 18 should be for everything. It's just because
18.
if you can go to war at 18 and fight
Yeah,
and die for your country, unless they raise that to 21. It's
yeah,
just I
yeah.
just
Do you
you know what I
think that
mean?
would be just because kids, 16, 17 that go into the military, that some of them can be very impressionable, and or most of them are impressionable, but do you think that it would benefit the the armed forces overall to have them raise the age to 21 for not just like maybe like competency, because you think maybe a little
Well,
more.
I think the draft, maybe you can join at 18, but you can't be
o-
drafted until you're 21, maybe.
okay,
There's just, I just have a
yeah,
thing where, if you can be forced into service to, to fight and die for your country, that you should be able to have a beer. You should be able to, buy
Yeah.
liquor and buy cigarettes. And, if you want to get a surgery and mutilate yourself, I mean, people get tattoos all the time, not the same,
Yeah.
but for a long time, that's the way tattoos were viewed was, you were desecrating, the body that God gave you. I know
Mhm.
that my parents, when I started getting tattoos, my mom was like, "Ay, Dios mío." She's Cuban, so she was just going off about how I was desecrating my temple and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it's but you know
Oh
what?
man, living in the South,
Yeah,
they were. I mean, I graduated college in 2009, but they were saying, oh, if you have tattoos, for interviews, cover them up, and that wasn't even that long ago. So a lot's changed because I worked at Tesla, man, and they had people all tatted up and plugs in their noses and shit.
oh, dude,
So
I go into job interviews and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" Hey, it's I got the old school tattoos. I got the tribals. So it's
yep,
you know,
yep.
um, and it's still not done. I've been working on this thing. Freaking my last deployment, I sat down for 8 hours to fill it all in. I've done the same tattoo. I don't know how many times, and now it's come down to filling it in.
You're like
But
the lifelong project.
yeah, pretty much, pretty much. So jumping back into it, um, let's see. So yeah, Elizabeth Warren. Let's jump into this next. So for whatever reason, and I'm hoping maybe or somebody in the chat knows, for some reason, Elon Musk went for U.S. aid or USAID, as kind of the first project, for him and
Mhm.
his team to audit. And at first I was like, really? That's seems like because I was as ignorant about it as most everyone else, I think. And I thought it was just a humanitarian thing, because I mean, being in the military, I've seen the grain bags and
Yeah.
being given out and stuff like that that have U.S. aid stamped on them, and that's what I figured. All they were was a humanitarian thing. Come to find out, this past week or so, the more Democrats keep coming forward and screaming and kicking and yelling about it, they're kind of showing their ass because they're pushing back on these audits and how the money's being spent, and it's exposing a lot of what they've been doing. So, and our government, not just Democrats, Republicans too, just those career politicians, is they've been using it as a slush fund to
Mhm.
overthrow governments, in Syria and Muammar Gaddafi and Libya, and a lot of other places, exert U.S. influence. So, yeah, it's not just a humanitarian thing. It's being used to no. Sorry, my cat's whining at me.
she want to
Um,
join?
yeah, she was wanting to jump up. Oh yeah, 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 Papa Goose. Yeah, yeah, it is the worst. So here, actually, you know what? Let me throw you up as a.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did raise the age to buy smokes.
All right, so I threw you up as a moderator, Jeff. If you want to throw any of the any of the comments up on the screen or anything like that,
Okay.
or or if you want to share anything that you find. So I'm going to go through real quick, and feel free to cut me off and jump in. But
You got some
I kind of want to
receipts.
go through. Yeah, yeah, I want to share some receipts. So here, let's actually. This is a really good place to start. Let me share my screen.
That Rhino Crenshaw. Man, I thought, Dan Crenshaw sure does put on a good front, man. He's got some questionable
Go ahead, because yeah, I
stuff.
have some very personal feelings about him too.
Yeah, I know he served and he was a SEAL and stuff, but
Doesn't matter.
What's his deeper? Oh shit! I just pulled out my headphones. I just know his shady stock history, and I don't know much about his like deep political
Ideology.
involvements, but yeah, ideology.
So he supported red flag laws, which, if you don't know, basically violates people's Second Amendment rights. It was a really shitty piece of legislation that allowed, like, say me and you were roommates and we had a falling out, like, I slept with your girlfriend or something like that, and rightfully so, you're pissed, and I own guns. You could basically say that I was, saying that I was going to kill myself or I was going to hurt other people, and it was legal justification for the police to kick in my door, take all of my firearms, and basically keep them, without any probable cause or anything other than what you had told him. So he supported that, which was a surprise to me. And he's done a lot of shady stuff. And as a veteran, and a lot of the veterans I know, respect the fact that he's a SEAL, respect his service, but to be honest, he has been a real disappointment. And I could care less what he did in the military if he's going to violate, the Constitution. If he's going to support violating the Constitution like that.
Yeah.
Oh, no Papa excuse. Goose says that he has WEF ties as well. Well, Papa, if you want to jump in here and jump on camera, I mean, you always seem like you have stuff to, that you're pretty knowledgeable, and you'd like to, jump in and share some of the stuff that you know. But this is what I got so far. So I asked X, what NGOs have questionable activities that have been identified during the Doge audit of USAID. And it says the DAI Global, an investigation by David Hundy into DIA Global's activity. Yes, in Nigeria, described it primarily as a climate NGO, but with substantial spending labeled to all other professional, scientific, and technical services. Here were also concerns about payments labeled undisclosed or miscellaneous, including payments made after President Trump ordered a halt to U.S. aid payments. So that's shady as shit.
And on that real quick, the payment, if they're trying to defend even some of this as humanitarian aid, but it's mislabeled and it goes somewhere else, what did they try and pin Trump on for his 32 counts of miss bookkeeping, where they mislabeled it as? So what the fuck are they? What are they doing? No, what are they doing here, bro? It's the same. Like, I don't. Come on.
They got a track record of that. They got a track record of that, going after people for things that they do. Like the whole documents that Trump had in the bathroom, and the classified documents scandal, and at least he had him in a locked bathroom. Freaking Biden had him in his garage, unsecured garage,
Camaro or the Corvette.
Oh, yeah, next to the Corvette, and then he had a bunch more that were in an unlocked office at Penn State. But oh yeah, we're not going to go after him. So next one is EcoHealth Alliance. This organization was noted for its partnership with China in research that led to the development of COVID-19, which was funded by USAID. This has been cited as an example of USAID's activities running amok. Media funding. This has been a big one today. So BBC, Politico, pretty much all the major news organizations have been getting funding from USAID. So basically, our tax dollars have gone to these organizations that lied about the Hunter Biden's laptop. They lied about the Trump Russia scandal. They lied about January 6th. They just lie and lie and lie and lie because that's who's lining their pockets.
Yep.
That's why media organizations should not be getting government money. It should be illegal for them to get government money.
No.
General concerns with NGOs. I don't like these parts that say, like the source posts on X. That anybody can post on X.
Well, and usually at the bottom it'll say that the the content's always changing and things can update.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. And the community notes have been great because they will check and update and stuff. So
hold on real quick. Looks like I got a message. Maybe that's you. The FCC is investigating Soros-backed radio station.
Yeah, in San Francisco for sending out updates about undercover ICE coming into
so
places.
that was the leak, huh?
Yeah, that possibly.
All right.
So all those radio stations he bought last year.
What's that? Oh, here we go. Papa Beef.
Inglewood.
Lots of influence peddling. Not sure who holds the purse string on USAID. Honestly, actually, you know what? Let's freaking ask Grok. All right, who controls USAID funding? All right, so the United States Agency for International Development Funding is controlled by several layers of government oversight. So Congress, Office of Management and Budget, or OMB, the State Department. I knew the State Department was one of them. The USAID Administrator, congressional committees such as the House Foreign Affairs Committee, the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and the Appropriations Committee, and the Government Accountability Office. Now, the Government Accountability Office, it needs to go the fuck away, because basically everything that Doge is doing right now is in their mandate and their charter. They're the ones that are supposed to be running around making sure that these departments aren't wasting taxpayers' money and all of that. And so obviously they are not doing their fucking job. Yeah, Soros is a shady fuck. He actually, I'll get into that. I actually found some stuff. It seems like everything I look into, he has a good chunk of money, taxpayer money that he's getting to buy off or to fund judges and lawyers and prosecutors to get them elected into office using taxpayer money, and grants and things like that. All right. So back to here we go. So the last one, DEI and cultural projects. So projects related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, were flagged as questionable, including funding for a DEI musical in Ireland, transgender comic book in Peru, and various initiatives to promote DEI in workplaces in countries like Serbia. These were highlighted as potentially inappropriate use of taxpayer funds, especially in the context of foreign aid. So I'll jump right into this. We were talking about Soros, and I want to get on that one. It's still fresh in our minds. So George Soros, through his Open Society Foundation, in 2021, it's called the Tides Association, I believe it is.
The Roll Tides? Roll Tide.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, the Tides Foundation. So actually, let's start here. Let's introduce the Tides Foundation. So the Tides Foundation is a significant player in the realm of progressive philanthropy in the United States. Here's an overview based on the information of the web and results on X posts. Overview. It was founded in 1976 by a guy that probably none of us ever heard of. Its mission is to accelerate the pace of social change, focusing on social justice, environmental issues, and inclusive democracy through grant making, donor advised funds, and fiscal sponsorship. Grant making. They manage over $1.4 billion in assets and has distributed billions in grants since its inception. It supports organizations in areas like civil engagement, environmental sustainability, women's rights, and racial justice. On the surface, sounds like an honorable organization. In 2020, they paid out 607 million in grants, and let's see. Oh, here we go. This is what I want to get to. Controversies and criticisms. So, Black Lives Matter. There was a legal dispute in 2024 where Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation sued Tides for mismanagement of funds intended for BLM. So back during the riots, this is one of the organizations that was sending funding to BLM while they were, having their mostly peaceful demonstrations all across the country. So Black Lives Matters, is out of money because they got exposed for what they were, and so now they're
buying property too.
Oh yeah, multiple mansions.
Yeah.
So I guess now they're biting the hand that fed them, and they're suing them. So yeah, that's awesome. Anti-Israel funding, which is going to lead me to something that I found quite interesting. Records from conservative outlets like the Washington Examiner suggest Tides has funded anti-Israel groups. No matter how you feel about Israel, this next thing is going to be quite interesting. Those of you that don't know, there's an organization called CAIR, CAIR. It is an Islamic group that has close ties to Hamas. And those of you that don't know, Hamas is the one that Israel has been fighting with since October 7th, when Hamas, rolled into Israel and started raping and killing and kidnapping Israeli citizens. So basically, this Tides Foundation is funding terror, our tax dollars. U.S. aid has also sent over $1 billion. It's $40 million. A lot of you have heard of the $40 million a week that since we pulled out of Afghanistan, that our government, that Biden and Harris was sending over to the Taliban to supposedly fight ISIS for us. And so we, the taxpayers, have been funding the terror group that we spent 2 decades fighting over in Afghanistan. And that money was being siphoned through U.S. aid. So, that's another beauty.
Well, and that fractal technology that they are using to discover where all the money's going between these NGOs is a game changer too, because you can really see like a breakdown of all the, like, where the taxpayer money's going to, and like the stuff with the Clintons and the Gates.
It's what is that crypto bubble thing where it shows like the wallets?
Yeah. Arkham has it. Arkham Intel. It's like a fractal.
Yeah. Well, that's what that reminds me of. Being able to, and that's why I really wish that they would put the U.S. budget, and our tax dollars on the blockchain, so that anybody and everybody have a website with 100% transparency, and that shows exactly how much money goes to each organization, and you can see what they spend it on down to the dollar. That needs to fucking happen. And what we're seeing right now in real time is why.
Yeah, it's crazy to see, because I was saying that not long after I got into crypto, like in the 2015, 2016, I was like, man, they could really put like government stuff on the blockchain so that way it's transparent, and not forcing that on the citizens, like the CBDC, but definitely having the government, all government finances and shit, governance proposals as well. voting, all that stuff needs to be able to be verified. At that level, it needs to be verified and transparent. And if you're saying one thing, and accusing the other side of doing what you're doing, and then you get exposed, it's like, fuck, we could have avoided all this. Granted, we didn't have the technology, but now that we do, and this stuff is getting exposed, it's like, don't be upset at somebody who is coming after you now when you've been doing this for decades. It's
dude,
not
yeah.
Donald Trump didn't do anything but just expose your dirt.
Well, don't get mad at the 5, teenagers and early 20s, genius kids that are, all they're doing is finding the corruption. They didn't plan it there. They didn't create it. They're not the ones wasting your tax dollars. That's the thing that's crazy right now, is that all these, Democrats and Republicans and, all these, NGOs and foreign governments that have been lining their pockets with our tax dollars and using it as their personal slush fund, they're all kicking and screaming and crying about, what's going on. And, and basically, everyone wants to demonize, Trump and Elon and those kids for exposing it. So it's like, what kind of backward ass world are we living in, where people are more pissed about it being exposed, that our government's wasting our tax dollars, than the actual corruption? That our government is funding terrorism, that our government is spending money. They spent like $800 million. No, sorry, it was $81 million to study quail and like how cocaine affected like their breeding habits. It's like, what the fuck are we spending $81 million on coked out quail for?
Yeah. Or what? Something about shrimp and treadmills?
Oh yeah. It was like millions of dollars to figure out if how fast shrimp can run. What the fuck? Like that is a responsible use of our tax dollars?
Yeah. And even if you try and make the case, because I was watching Brett Weinstein on Rogan, and he's great. I love just how he thinks and his approach to stuff. But they were were even questioning whether or not there was a small percentage of legitimate activities that money was sent to. Like, was there even any credible good that it did? I mean, I'm sure maybe a small portion, but it seems like a lot of it has just been kind of washed through and sent to other places. So even if people are complaining that it would disrupt humanitarian aid, one, if there is that much corruption, it won't make that much of an impact because of the amount that we already send is so small. And two, why is it our responsibility to take care of everybody else before our own people? Do you take care of, if you have a family and you start forgetting to take care of yourself because you need to provide for your family, which is great, but if you put your needs and health aside for your family and you just go and deteriorate, then you die and can't take care of your family anymore. So you need to make sure yourself is priority number one before you can care for other people in the way that they need you. So America, especially, you have people here who are fucking homeless, who have mental health issues that need help. You have families that healthcare is expensive as shit, and people can't buy. They can barely buy food, and you're saying that we need to take care of these people in other countries first before our people. It's not our job to play savior. Captain Save-A-Ho is what they say in the.
Yeah, no, we can't afford it. I mean, we're 36 trillion in debt and growing. I mean, what the government takes in taxes, we can't. It's getting to the point we can't even pay the interest on the debt anymore.
Yeah.
We're a sinking ship, and if Elon isn't and Trump and the people supporting him, aren't successful with this, there's no hope. I mean, we are a failing empire. So, this is a fact that I used in the thumbnail for the show, that Congress provided $516 billion, over $500 billion in appropriations just this fiscal year to programs that had expired. There's a bunch of money that it just basically goes down black holes that they don't know where it ends. So I mean, this could be, dark money for the CIA. This could just be, blatant, mismanagement of, taxes. There's just so much, paperwork and just, so much inefficiency and redundancy that stuff like this, that $500 billion can fall through the cracks. The Pentagon. It just was announced a couple hours ago that Doge plans on basically auditing the Defense Department and the Pentagon. Their annual budget is like 800 billion, like 900 billion, just shy of $1 trillion a year. And they haven't passed an audit that I can think of ever. And every year they just keep stroking a check for them. And I know from personal experience that in the government, there's a policy, and it's jokingly called "use it or lose it," which at the end of every fiscal year, that whatever money you were budgeted, if you don't use it, then the next fiscal year they'll assume that you don't need that and they'll cut your budget.
Yeah.
So at the end of every fiscal year, everyone's told, put in your wish list. If you need office supplies, if you need new optics for your weapons, if you need training, whatever you need, put your wish list together, and the S office will go through it. You have your S1, your S2, all that in the military, and they deal with budget, and they basically would go through and say, them and the commander would say yes, 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 no, 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 yes, 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 and make sure that they spent all the money so they could ask for more money. And that's how every government organization works. So basically, they encourage waste by doing that. Instead of rewarding people for being responsible with the money, they incentivize them to spend more. So it's just insane that it's taken this long.
Oh, I know. C90 says 7 failed in a row, damn near Michael Phelps level.
No, they definitely got the gold medal, for freaking.
Oh my gosh,
for freaking fraud, waste, and abuse. All right, and then next up here we got this.
Yeah, what else we got?
So I'm sure you all remember this gem of a lady. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, our favorite priest.
Yeah.
We should love everybody.
She gave the speech, at Trump's inauguration about migration and immigration and all that.
Yeah.
So,
is she in USA too?
Yes, she is. Now that you mention it. So, She runs an organization called Episcopal Migration Ministries.
Of course she
And
does.
so the EMM has received government grants in 2023. They earned a $53 million grant from taxpayer-funded government programs to resettle 3,600 individuals. So, let me if you could do that math for me real quick. What is 53 million divided by 3,600?
$14,500, 14.7K. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's not as bad as I thought, but $53 million to basically help illegal immigration. There's also mentions of EMM receiving grants from the U.S. Department of State and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for resettlement programs. In 2021, they were awarded major grants to support communities welcoming Afghan refugees with funding from the Community Sponsorship Hub and Welcome Fund. They also participate in the matching grant program, which is partially funded through a grant from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and Office of Refugee Resettlement. So basically, we have this intricate web that seems to be, no matter where you churn, all these people that are coming out and are the most vocal, being anti-Trump and anti-Elon and anti-Doge, and finding these these inefficiencies, fraud, waste, and abuse. It seems like they're all the ones that are financially benefiting. These foreign governments. The money that they're getting that's supposed to be going to the poor, and impoverished of their country, that much, if not all of it, never gets there. This is our tax dollars, and keep in mind the 800 billion. Hold on, real quick. I mean, make sure, because the U.S. aids, with all of this that we've talked about, their budget is, I want to say it's 81 million, like 81 million a year, I think, is their budget.
Or billion?
So yes, billion. All of this has been accomplished with 81 billion, which is less than 1% of the government's budget. So imagine, actually, you know what? This is like the easiest way to do it.
Well, and I've seen people. I'm trying to look for arguments supporting these people's like just deranged view, and people are like, "Well, it's only 1% or less than 1%," and it's like, fraud is fraud. Fraud is fucking fraud, and it's your money that you're putting in that they are taking. And is that not like, if that was Trump sending that shit out, you would be outraged. You would be fired to the streets.
Oh, absolutely. But think of it this way. They're right. It's only 1%. That's like looking through the fucking keyhole from 20 feet away. And we're seeing all this fraud, waste, and abuse. Imagine if you open the fucking door.
Yeah.
What's
the rest of these organizations, man, that they haven't even looked at, and the systems. So I've heard a lot of people's concerns about them, which I can see their justification for, is the systems are so old that these software developers or software engineers could push code that might break the system because it hasn't been updated in decades. And I'm sure that they understand that they can't just like push code and shit, which they only have like read access. But if they're smart enough to implement a system to make sure things won't break, because at this level, it would cause a lot of like, if certain financial payments didn't get put out to, certain like bond payments and shit. But you would just have to make sure that everything, you're not just you'd have to put like a buffer or something in between.
Yeah.
But it's not that's still no excuse, because shit needs to be, at some point you got to fucking cut the hemorrhaging limb or organ
dude.
or body
There's
body part.
there's so many tumors. There is so many tumors that need to be removed. It's like
Drastic
Papa Goose
action
said,
is needed.
federal fraud is a felony. And like you said, if Trump was, behind any of this, they would be screaming from the rooftops to impeach him and imprison him. And I mean, look what they were doing with shit that they fabricated. Imagine if they had anything real on the guy. But yeah, not a single one of them will, I mean, the January 6th committee, that Biden had to freaking pardon them all.
Yeah.
They all, Liz Cheney and all them, they freaking violated, thousands of Americans, civil rights and not civil rights. Oh yeah, civil rights and constitutional rights. As far as violating their due process. A bunch of people were in basically solitary confinement for years without any trial, or hearing whatsoever. So,
it's
so the Defense Department, or Department of Defense, their budget's around $850 billion, so just shy of $1 trillion, which is 13 to 15.5% of the total U.S. federal budget.
So 10x
so if
that.
So 10 or 15x is what you'd be looking at. And that's just what they found so far in U.S. aid. So, yeah, imagine what they're going to be able to save the U.S. taxpayer.
And Medicaid is next, right?
That's Medicare and Medicaid. And he might be able, and all these people, and here, I'm going to say this real quick. All these people that scream about that we should have free health care, or we should have free college, or more social programs. How much do you think that we could do if we allow Doge and Elon Musk and his team to go through all of government and clean house, get rid of redundant departments, get rid of this fraud, waste, and abuse, money getting dumped into accounts of initiatives that don't even exist anymore. And just free up all that money. Imagine what we could do with Medicare and Medicaid, expanding services. Imagine what we could do.
School lunches, man. The school lunch program. You could put fucking healthy, real food back into the school system all across the country. I mean, with all the shit that we waste, man.
Dude, as a kid, a lot of times the school lunch was like the only good meal I got. Like, I mean, I didn't get meals at home, for a lot of years. The best meal I got was lunch at school.
Oh,
so man. Yeah, where's the money, Lebowski?
Oh shit! Man, he's bringing it back.
Where's the money, Lebowski?
The big Lebowski.
The nihilist. Man, why'd you pee on my carpet, man?
Man,
the Chinaman peed on my carpet.
Throwback, dude. Man. No.
So yeah, there's so much that needs to be done, and kind of this to somewhat sum it up. I'm just very amused at the people that are being the most vocal and kicking and screaming and crying the most about this corruption. There's no better word for it. Corruption of our legal system, or not legal system, but of our of our government, and just the gross misuse, and dare I say, starts with an M. The word is eluding me. malicious,
Mm.
malicious. Because this if with how involved these politicians are in day-to-day operations and the visibility they have, the oversight committees, all of these things, there is no way that this has gone unnoticed. I mean, for example, Ron and Rand Paul, they've gotten famous. Usually it's on New Year's, I believe it is, but they stand up with a big bulletin board behind them and they have these giant flashcards and they filibuster. And so they just ramble on and on and on about the waste and abuse going on in government. And that's where I got that, big sign, for quail on cocaine. Yeah, I'll pull it up real quick.
Cocaine.
Cocaine and quail. Yeah, right here. So cocaine and risky sex habits of quail for $874,000.
Yes.
And here he is. There he is. Look at my boy, Rand Paul.
Oh man, Rand Paul.
Dude, he just sits up there. He got this quail fucking mowing on cocaine. I think, you know what? I think this was just a ruse so that they could get their hands on a bunch of cocaine for fucking DC parties and shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
It really did tie the room together, dude.
Man. Shit.
Yeah, the big Lebowski, and he's like, the Chinaman peed on my carpet, and then what's his name, the big dude, his bowling buddy, he's like, it really did tie the carpet together, or tie the room together, dude.
Fucking Woody Harrelson. Is it?
No.
What's his name?
No, here, let's look it up.
I'm blanking on his name.
There he is.
Jeff Bridges.
John Goodman.
Jeff Bridges, John Goodman.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges was in it, but John Goodman was the one that was like, it really tied the room together, dude.
Yeah.
A big Lebowski. I need to watch that. It's fucking hilarious.
I was thinking Kingpin, right? Woody Harrelson's in Kingpin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, no. Woody Harrelson was in that, and so was Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, C90. Yeah, I mean, all this money. I mean, imagine if the billions of dollars that they sent to fund the Taliban, if they used that money for homeless vets and for for people that need real help, Americans. I mean, what a slap in the face. I mean, I don't know how, but through all my service, I never had any major injuries or anything, and I never went after disability because I didn't want to take resources away from people who like really needed it, because I would look around and just see like the long wait times and just the terrible care that people were getting, and I didn't want to be that guy that was like, oh yeah, I'm 100% fucking disabled, so I can milk a check and take away resources from them. And so yeah, I mean, it's like, imagine what a slap in the face it is that there's vets that are sleeping on the streets, hungry and freaking, out in the weather, when, they're sending billions, of dollars over to the people that we, fought, that basically put them there.
Yeah, my brother felt the same way you do. He could have gotten some kind of disability, even if it was like 20 or 30%. After he got out, he was like, I don't want to be, I'm okay. I'm not fucked up, and I don't want to take from the system if I don't need to. And
I'm, no more fucked up than I was before I went in.
Yeah, before you.
Well, yeah, no, it's like, yeah, I mean, I got, I have issues. I mean, I'm 50 years old. I jumped out of planes and did airborne operations forever. Carried a ruck for most of my career that weighed anywhere from 60 to 100 plus pounds, and so my back and my neck hurt all the time. And my ears ring. Like I'll be sitting here, and all of a sudden I just hear like this kind of
the tinnitus,
like this pop in my ear,
Yep.
and it's back, the
Yep.
tinnitus, going off in my head. And
that's why I started wearing earplugs at music festivals and concerts and stuff. I always bring my earplugs, man. Fuck that.
there's just times where you just shit happens. You're in combat. It's not like you're rolling around all the time with earplugs. And all of a sudden, you're in a firefight or something, and you're freaking.
You can't no, stop! I need to put my earplugs in.
Yeah, right. It's like the next fucking 8 hours. It's
you're about to have a hole blown in your asshole if you don't get out of here. Like fuck your ears, man.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to touch on. Really, is just to to point out the just the ridiculousness of what's mostly Democrats. There are some Republicans, but mostly Democrats that are out there, like you see Warren here. That we're gonna fight against Trump and Elon, and nobody voted for Elon, and it's like, all right, yeah, nobody voted for freaking Kamala Harris to be your rep, for president. There's a whole laundry list of people that are in positions that weren't elected in. There's cabinet positions and all kinds of different ways people get in positions of power that aren't elected, but they weren't screaming and yelling about those. They scream and yell about Elon being a billionaire that has his tentacles in government. It's like, okay, well, what about Soros? What about Bill Gates? What about all them? It's like you don't mind taking their money.
Yeah, and I'm really trying to see what their excuse, support or any valid support for their side, and it's just because I see there's some people I know that are friends of mine that have been posting on Instagram like trying to say Elon's gonna steal all the Americans' money and this and that, and Trump they're consolidating power and trying to take over, and I'm like, okay, so there's
no money to take. We're 36 trillion in debt. And the crazy thing is one of the arguments they used today that I saw is well, Elon Musk took a U.S. aid money for Starlink, so he has no room to talk. And it's like, you stupid motherfuckers. He took it and he built freaking Starlink, which brought high-speed internet to the entire fucking world.
Yeah.
Not just the US. So and the fact that he's still willing to go in there and go through US aid and point out all the inconsistencies and all the fraud.
And did he know about that at the time?
That
he
too.
Accepted that.
But and the fact that he's willing to take down an organization that potentially could hurt his business, yet he's still doing it. To me, that's not the gotcha moment that they're thinking it is.
No. Well, they're looking for any straw to grasp, So Jeremy on the. Oh no!
Oh, dude, I didn't even know that Jeremy was in there today.
Oh, he was in there?
I guess Drew said something during the show today where I guess Jeremy had come in there, and Drew said something about Soros, and he stormed out.
Oh shit! Because I came in to the show late, so I didn't know. I know yesterday they were getting into it pretty good.
Oh, maybe it was yesterday then. I think I missed yesterday's show.
Okay. Yeah, because I didn't know he stormed out though. I thought that was
That's what Drew
and
said. He said he mentioned
and you
Soros
know
and fucking he beelined for the door.
it's it is crazy to see the trying to defend like, oh, Soros doesn't have any knowledge, or I don't think he has any ties. It's like, what do you mean? At some point you have to be objective about the facts and reality and not live in a fucking fairy tale. So I don't understand why it shouldn't matter what side. It should just be like, this
It
is an
should.
evil person. This is an evil organization or group of people. Like, let's just not say the Democrats, because not all the Democrats obviously are in
No.
the USA, but this
And
group.
and in this case, it's some Republicans. They're out there screaming and
Yeah.
yelling about Trump and Elon and stuff. No,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I'll point it out wherever it is. If Trump does something that I don't agree with or I think is shady, I'll jump on him just as quick as I'll jump on anybody
Hmm.
that's on the Democratic Party. Wrong is wrong. It shouldn't matter if they have a D or an R behind their name. It shouldn't matter if you agree with them or not. It's just wrong is wrong, and that's kind of the problem that I'm seeing. Of a lot that's going on right now is a lot of these people like Elizabeth Warren that are up shaking their fist. You know, while while all these things were going on, while they're censoring Americans and using the FBI to force Facebook to deplatform people and violating people's constitutional rights and all these things, then all that's fine.
Hmm.
But you know, but Elon is pointing out where our tax dollars are being wasted, and this is a coup. Like really,
Because he
this is a
took
coup?
200 he gave Trump $250 million during his campaign, don't you know? And that means that he bought his way, which you what the fuck does that have to he supported his campaign, okay? That like, okay, let's say he fucking gave him money, but he was donating to a campaign, like that doesn't mean he's buying his fucking position as the I just I get
Well,
what
and they
they're how
don't
they're
think
trying to
that.
spin it, but if you're
Well,
saying I'm gonna expose corruption and where our like and transparency and shit, why are people pissed off about that? You can't buy fucking eggs because they're $12 a dozen, and you're gonna complain that somebody is trying to save you money. Shut the fuck up, please. Like
well,
seriously,
dude,
we are broken,
like,
dude. We are
like they
broken.
can, yeah. Well, and they can say that with a straight face when George Soros, through the Open Society Foundation, which has distributed over $32 billion since its inception to Democratic policies or to support of Democratic candidates. So they're screaming and yelling about, like an Elon's, what you said, 100 and something million dollars when
Yeah.
they don't think Soros that's just distributed 32 billion, a lot of which is grants that he's gotten, our taxpayer dollars. So
Mhm.
basically, laundered money, laundered our
Mhm.
tax dollars through these organizations that got the grants back to Democrat politicians and Democrat organizations that are trying to advance their agendas. So, but there's nothing wrong with that.
And yeah, and this is gonna also bring into question the validity of Zelensky's claims of not getting like 100 billion of that $170 billion that we sent to Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
I always question whether or not he's like telling the truth, but if he's saying that and we're seeing this fraud with US aid and we're going to start auditing the Pentagon and shit,
What are we going to find?
what are we going to find that $100 billion went. And yeah, because I always
I don't
heard that
know.
they were spending, the Zelensky and the political heads in Ukraine were stealing money and stuff and using it to buy
Yeah,
expensive properties
a,
and
a lot, a lot of that, and not all of it, but a lot of that was bullshit. Because I heard that they were buying super yachts and all this stuff, and I actually
okay.
dug into that. And the super yacht thing was bullshit. They were
Where are they going to
purchasing
bring him?
some.
There's no water right there.
Well, yeah, no, there is. I mean, Crimea, and
uh,
all that. That's kind of why Russia wanted that. Is it was a warm weather port to ship
uh,
out, because Ukraine is a huge producer of grain, like wheat and stuff like that. And
mhm.
so Russia wanted a warm weather port, and that's one of the reasons why back in the '80s they were trying to take Afghanistan.
Oh, the Black Sea's
Was
right there. Okay. I thought it was
Yeah,
landlocked. All right.
no.
Okay.
Um, it's a common misperception, but imagine what would happen if Elon cut spending after 4 years and is dude, like Trump is the only US president that his net worth went down from being in office instead of up. Everybody else became millionaires and multimillionaires
Mhm.
being in office. He's the only one in history that since they started recording.
Hundreds of
Um,
million they
yeah, he's
made.
mhm. Now that might be different because he launched that stupid fucking meme coin and, and made all that money.
Oh no, all the
But
other presidents, making hundreds of millions that are like, and I
mhm.
get,
Oh,
speaking
well,
engagements and stuff, but
yeah, book deals
fuck,
and
man, you're making how much? Like, shit.
honestly, it's a way to get around.
What the fuck?
Uh,
It zoomed in again. Oh,
well,
hey.
honestly it's a way to get around laws. So say that the president or something does something for you, and you can't legally directly give them money. It's like,
Mhm.
well, it's like doctors. They can't take money from pharmaceutical companies, but they can go to speaking engagements,
Yeah.
or where like their flight and their trip is paid for, and they can get paid for being a keynote speaker at
Mhm.
a foundation fundraiser, something like that. They can make up
Yeah.
all kinds of things to because there's loopholes, and they purposely build them in so that they can you know basically bribe. That's why super PACs became a thing. Is it was a way to get around campaign finance reforms, things like that. So bottom line is we need more of what Elon is doing, not less. He needs to go through wholesale and
Yeah.
identify all this stuff. And sure, these, it needs to go through the processes, the executive, the legislative, all the different branches, and go through the proper channels to eliminate these redundant departments, and cut the spending off and return the funding back to where it belongs,
Mhm.
through tax breaks, or paying off debt, paying off the national debt, whatever it is. But this needs to happen, and it needs to
Yeah.
happen now, and it needs to happen fast, because we are not, as a country, in a good place.
No. And I think him only having 4 years is the perfect, like, you think about it, this is a perfect formula, because if he was successful in 2020, it's who would be here now. So we wouldn't have, and I don't think he would have been able to get that stuff done in 2020 either, because people hadn't seen the level of fuckery. So now that the whole country, the map is fucking red, like the whole map.
Well, and the other thing is, is his first 4 years, the people that were in his cabinet positions and those sorts of
Mhm.
things were people that he was told he should have in those positions. And he
Yeah.
listened because there are thousands and thousands of positions. And he thought that, hey, that's the way to get it done, the most efficient way to get it done. He's said that this time around, that's why he's picking people like Hegseth and Tulsi and RFK and Elon and, all these
Mhm.
different people is because they're not the status quo elites that are dug in to Washington and infected with the corruption. Um,
Mhm.
they're people that he's vetted and understands that they're passionate and they honestly believe what they say. Tulsi is a fucking patriot. She wants less wars. She wants
Yep.
to, help veterans. She wants to ensure, that the Constitution is upheld in these intelligence organizations. Not spying on U.S. citizens, things like that.
And
You
she
got
served.
RFK, yep, and still serves.
Still serves. Yeah.
RFK, RFK, he's been an environmental lawyer forever. He, wants to take all the poisons out of our food, and he, embodies that. He
Mhm.
fights tooth and nail for that. It's a perfect position for him. Elon, efficiency. The guy is a fucking savant when it comes to, making things better. He took, the engines from NASA, the jet, the rocket, rocket engines from NASA. And I don't know if you've seen
Yeah.
that picture
The
from,
Raptor.
what he got
Yep.
to, yeah, to where it fucking evolved to where like now
Mhm.
it just, actually, you know what? I need to
And
find
he
that.
and he catches the rockets on chopsticks, is what they said too. They're like, a man who
Right?
catches rockets on chopsticks
Yeah.
are
It's
worried
like Mr.
that
Miyagi. It's like
he's
Mr.
gonna fuck
Miyagi with
up
the
the
chopstick.
FAA. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Holy shit.
You said that it's called the Falcon rocket engine?
Uh, the Raptor,
Oh, Raptor.
the Raptor engine, right?
There we go.
Falcon
Raptor rocket
punch.
engine. Yeah, this is it.
So fucking dope, man. I love just like how clean and
Oh,
aesthetically
dude,
pleasing it is. Just seeing the.
look at look at this. It went from this fucking spaghetti monster to this, which is the Raptor 2, and then this. Like fucking all of this. He made it look like that. It's like what in the literal fuck?
uh, yeah,
This
and
is
see
what he's doing
that's
to government. This
yeah.
is what Elon's doing to the government right now. Is this is where we're at. If we let him
Oh,
keep going, this is what it's going to start looking like. And if we let them fucking finish, this is what the government will look like.
oh man, where was it? Elon, he's the biggest troll. He posted some picture that was this an example. It was a cartoon of government efficiency. Um, oh my gosh, where's it at? He posts the funniest fucking things, but he doesn't like. Oh yeah,
Did you find it?
I'm gonna send this to you. I need to go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. I send it to you on the
Oh,
messenger.
next. Let's see. I'll pull it up. Oh, yeah. I saw this. There, I'll share it. Yeah. So efficiency took Twitter, put her on a treadmill, made her hot. And then if you can't see it, the federal government's this fat dude, and him and the hot chick are looking at him next. Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on right now.
Did you catch it? Oh, let that sink in. Is there supposed to be volume?
Oh, shit, there's not volume?
I don't hear the volume.
All right, hold on. Let me. Yeah, it has the audio.
These are some of the
there
insane
you go.
priorities the organization has been spending money on.
$1.5 million to promote gays, lesbians, and trans in Jamaica.
$2 million to strengthen trans-led organizations to deliver gender-affirming health care in Guatemala.
$43 million on a gas station in Afghanistan that had no customers.
$20 million for Iraqi Sesame Street.
$4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan.
Over $6 million for men who have sex with men in South Africa.
$2 million for Moroccan.
$2 million in Guatemala. $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia.
$17 million to promote inclusion in Vietnam.
$32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru.
$8 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language.
$300 million to Reuters to attack Elon Musk.
$2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala.
Billions to the corporate media to attack Trump and run the fake impeachment propaganda.
$330 million to help Afghanis grow crops. crops.
$122 million of the USA money was given to terrorists.
Poppy. Yes.
Big BALLS, Sig Balls here.
BAL. Oh, man.
Personally, I voted for big balls. Elon Musk does.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
Fuck,
Boy,
man.
Michael Bloomberg is so upset that it came out that his gun control group are the ones behind the onion and the lawsuits and all of it, trying to shut down InfoWars. And remember, back in November, they said they owned it, tried to kick us out of the building. The judge overrode it. It wasn't true. It was a hoax. But a lot of people still think they own InfoWars or InfoWarsStore.com. And so it's really hurt sales by over 70%.
No, it's yeah, I'm glad you caught that the sound wasn't working, because it was important that people saw the the kind of the collage or whatever of all the different people talking about the 10 million for this and 600 million for that, and and just all of it is just these fucking ridiculous ass like 60 something million or 8 million for a fucking gay comic book in Peru.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? It's like if they wanted to do that, they could have paid like $5,000 to some fucking artist here in the States to come up with a Peruvian freaking gay comic book, and they could have freaking airdropped it for like another $15,000. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's just
it's so crazy.
For a transgender comic book in Peru. Is it any better if they just said 34 million for a damn comic book in Peru? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck we doing comics before tax? Yeah, dude, it's just ridiculous. And the fact that people just like scoff or just don't bat an eye at the hundreds of billions of dollars that is just being wasted, just wholesale wasted, on and sometimes just shit that never even takes place. It's like, where is this comic book? I honestly, I'm gonna fucking look it up. Like, did this comic book ever come to fruition? If not, where'd that $8 million go?
Yeah. Oh, dude, have you seen oh, did you see the picture I sent you? In the messages? In your message?
Okay.
The one Elon.
I'm willing to admit, hold on, I'll look at it in a second. I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. It looks like we got our gay comic book for $8 million. It's El Poder de la Educación.
Oh shit!
It came to fruition. There you
Oh
go. There.
man!
You ever wonder what an $8 million comic book looks like? That's what it looks like.
Oh,
Oh, God, the in the goat ass.
fuck. I guess it might be hilarious that they actually made it. You know, it might be more funny
Oh,
that
dude.
they.
That's insane. Hey, what's up, Cryptomaniac? Welcome. I like the
Welcome.
1776. It's
Yes.
it sparks goodness in my brain. So let's see. Oh, you said you sent me. Oh,
Yeah.
you're talking about that picture with the
On
hot chick and the fat
yeah.
guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I brought it up and showed everybody.
So Lindy Lee, Kamala Harris's former campaign manager. Have you seen this?
Oh,
So she's been very vocal about all the campaign money and stuff that was being
wasted.
misused and shit. And she was on Fox
Yeah.
News, last month and shit. And she's been more vocal. Like, the Democratic Party isn't what I thought it was and shit. And she was just on Sean Ryan's show a few days ago or yesterday. And she fucking put the whole thing on blast, man. You can look on his Twitter and see some of the clips, but she put them on blast. And so
well, dude,
and
they had
now she's getting
insane-
threats on her life.
Well, dude, like check this out. Like fucking the Harris campaign. This is something that just got forgot about in all the white noise. And on what you just said, the Harris campaign spent over $1 billion during the 2024 presidential election. This figure encompasses various expenditures, including high-profile events. So, like Oprah, Beyonce, all of those, they all got paid to endorse Harris with our tax dollars. Advertising and other campaign activities, according to the financial disclosures and reports. The campaign spending was significantly higher than that of Donald Trump, with specific instances like spending $270 million in September alone on ads. And all these influencers, on X and Facebook and TikTok and stuff, they were all getting paid by her too. Celebrity appearances, she was paid, influencer recruitment. The Kamala Harris appearance on Call Her Daddy podcast. Despite raising over $1 billion, the campaign
they set that
ended.
one up, right? That studio, that was like $500,000 or $1 million, something.
Well, and Oprah tried to say that she wasn't paid for her endorsement, but they paid $20 million to build the set for the interview that she did with Kamala Harris, which was paid to Oprah Winfrey's company. So unless that set cost $20 million to build, they pocketed quite a nice sum, I'm sure. So they ended after $1 billion fucking budget. They ended with approximately 1.8 million left in the bank and no reported debts. So they spent about $1 billion. I'm glad I looked this up because I heard that they actually ended up in debt, that they were a couple $100 million in debt. But they blew through $1 billion. What was Trump's?
Oh my God. Just take the L, man. Just take the L. At some point, you gotta.
He had 388 million, so about a third, roughly. Like a little over a third, and ended the campaign with $36.2 million in cash. So yeah, a third.
Jesus.
Yeah. So they kept on saying that supposedly she was this popular. If she was this popular, why the fuck did they have to spend $1 billion on her campaign and have and pay all these celebrities to come out and endorse her when
Yeah.
in 2020 she was polling in the single digits, and that's why she ducked out in 2020 was she didn't have a chance. And
Tulsi just put her in a grave, dude. That was, oh man,
it was beautiful. Honestly, that's when I started to look at Tulsi, because when they were all on stage arguing about who was going to give away the most stuff with our tax dollars, she was the only one on that stage that was actually trying to talk about the real issues. The war, the national debt, all those things.
Oh, did you see the CBS 60 Minutes? How Kamala was answering the questions differently off, like in between takes, and how that she would have to admit, or she admitted that it would eventually raise like our taxes. So all this shit that she was saying, she was lying in between actual takes, and that it's like, if you have to edit shit, you're not going to sit there in negotiations with dictators of other countries, especially, and try and negotiate shit. No, I mean, we might need. Can we do another take, please? No, it's not.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if she can't do an interview, how is she going to sit down and talk with Putin or Kim Jong Un or freaking anybody else? Z or any of the
Japan today.
leaders.
Oh, the Japan's investing $1 trillion in the U.S. So, and I see people's concern, like, oh, well, Trump is, saying he's going to take over Panama and take over this and take over that, and I'm like, what if he's just using that as a strategy? Yeah, he's using that as a like the Gaza thing. It could have just been, I'm just going to say this because it is outrageous, but we need something to use as a leverage. And that is just something that people believe because Trump is fucking doing shit. And if he says it, they might think that he'll actually do it. But if he uses it as just a bargaining chip, I mean, that's powerful enough as it is. Like, I don't need to use this, but I'm going to say it anyway because we need to get shit done and I need something to use as a leverage.
I thought it was hilarious. I didn't check to see if it's true, but I need to look it up. But supposedly NATO was going to send troops to Greenland to defend it, against Trump in case he tried to invade Greenland. And I'm like, they do realize that like our military and our funding is like, I think it's like 30 or 40% of NATO's budget and military.
Oh God,
like, please. There is literally nothing NATO could do huge if, never happened, but if Trump was the dictator that they claim he is and tried to take over Greenland, nothing could stop us.
Yeah. Well, now let's look at that. Like, what would, let's say, okay, Trump is this dictator, like everyone's saying, what, or Elon's conflict of interests. This is all their concerns, or they're consolidating power for themselves. I don't know. With the people around them, I don't think that they would allow that.
No. There's Tulsi. There's no way that she would get behind that.
And is Elon, if Elon did have a conflict of interest to where he's, massaging government funding for his own SpaceX or whatever, Tesla stuff he has going on. If he, I don't know, whatever government conflict of interest he has, is that gonna come in the way of
C90.
the
C90 says Grok says negative on troops being sent. All right. They all seeing Grok. They all seeing Grok has spoken. So let it be written. So let it be done.
But is that worse than the corruption that's already going on? Is the money that he's going to get from government contracts or whatever he's financially conflicted in, is that worse than what's been going on since before any of these guys have been involved in politics? And at what point do we say enough's enough? I mean, shit.
It's beyond time for and another one, Department of Education. It is a failed department.
We're
No matter
last.
how you look at it.
And they pay more per pupil than anywhere.
Well, and you have people graduating from high school who can't read.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. The Department of Education has failed.
Yeah.
They can get rid of it, send all of that funding to the states. It's they can make a computer program that does what the Department of Education does. I mean, basically they can have it to where, whatever funding or whatever that used to come from the Department of Education, it gets disseminated, through a computer program that says this state, because, this is how many students they have, this is what they get, and just spread it out and let the states figure out what they need. If they want to have, the arts, and they want to have, band or, oil painting, or they want to get new computers or, whatever it is that they need, let them figure that out. At the federal level, they shouldn't be figuring out, what a school in the middle of nowhere in West Virginia, is doing with that money.
Right. Yeah. The states, because you think all the states are different. When I moved from California to South Carolina, I was 13. It was right in the middle of 8th grade. And the school system was way different. I felt that it was more advanced out here.
Yeah.
And also the grading scale was different too. And like certain requirements and stuff. So, you have states that are so different and can't be on just one level. And obviously it's not working because teachers aren't getting paid well. The education's not good. You're starting to, and I'm not saying it's all over the country, but there are schools that are indoctrinating kids with certain things that shouldn't be. They say that they don't want religion taught in schools, which, you shouldn't force religion. And I agree, but don't force your ideology and shit in there either.
Exactly.
So there you go.
Well, I ran into that a lot too. Yeah. No, kids, all they should be learning in school is, math, English, science, the STEM stuff.
The STEMs. And make it enjoyable, man. I love the whole like unschooling or homeschooling approach where you have kids find what, give them basic stuff that they need to learn, like grammar, the English and stuff. And, but if they're interested in stuff, let them pursue that as well and say like, hey, we'll give you a grade on this project that you're interested in. And as long as you can build it or create it or whatever, present it and explain XYZ. Why are we forcing kids into these like pigeonholes?
Well, and the one thing that I did in high school was I actually left the regular high school. I actually got really good grades. I was A, B student. And I actually chose, I don't know what they're called, in other places around the US, but we called them alternative schools. So it was like, like all the girls that got pregnant and the guys that got, kicked out of school for, skipping too much school or failing or it's basically where all the degenerates
school.
went.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually chose to go there because all my buddies were the degenerates and that I hung out with. And they told me that at the alternative school that you could go as fast as you wanted. So, like in regular schools, you can only go as fast as the dumbest son of a bitch in the class because, the fucking, they're asking questions and, I'm sitting back there going like, I got it. Can we fucking move on?
Yeah.
Which is kind of selfish of me, but I wasn't the only one. The majority of the class was like that, where it's like, okay, we got it. Can we move on? So yeah, I went to an alternative school and they actually taught you were able to go to the local community college and take classes for free. As long as you like kept your grades up and stuff like that. And so it kind of goes along with what you're talking about is if a career counselor would have been paired up with that and been like, hey, what is it that you want to do? What are you interested in? And then, like they do at the colleges and, all right, well, we're going to put you in, a couple of these classes and let you see, hey, is this a career path that I want to take or, whatnot? And potentially even pair that up with, some scholarship programs and things like that to where it's like, hey, this young man, young woman, in high school, they did really well, got good grades, well enough that they were able to go to this, peripheral, college course program and, identify gifted, or motivated individuals to what they could get, either grants or scholarships or, something of that nature. There's just so much better ways of doing things, and government is often the least efficient way to do it.
Yeah, and really, seeing that over the years.
C90.
Yeah,
he's like Mike. I went to Catholic school, like private Catholic school, basically. My kids go to public school, let the streets teach them. My brother and sister, my mom, the one who's Cuban, she was actually a teacher for her whole career before she retired at a private Catholic school. And my sister and my brother, actually, my sister and my brother went to private Catholic school, and I went to nothing but public school. And yeah, it was a stark difference between our educations.
I had a friend, my childhood best friend. He went to private school, and he ended up. I didn't really keep in touch with him a lot. Maybe like 5 years after I moved, we kept in touch for a little bit, but then after that, I think after high school, he just kind of went, got into pills and stuff, and just didn't really have like private school and like Christian Catholic schools. People I've met, there are quite a few people I've met that have had a quite rebellious, phases and substance abuse. So I don't know if that's, I hope that's not UC90, but man, it just seems like a very,
my brother and my sister ended up doing really well. I mean, my brother, he runs
Taylor?
No, not Taylor.
Or is this...
Taylor's done really well for himself, obviously too. But all my brothers and sisters, for the most part, have all done very well. Like I'm kind of the black sheep, the one that lives in the middle of the woods. But not that I haven't done well. I mean, I retired at 40, but
yeah.
So, but no, like he, without doxing him, he runs a whole chain of Chevy dealerships and makes hordes of money. And then my sister, she was a speech pathologist before she decided to be a stay-at-home mom. Her husband owns a very successful business and makes enough to support him. And she just loves being a stay-at-home mom.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah,
No, we know
she
you're
went to
not
college.
all the Catholics aren't that way. C90 definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
I've
They're not
met
all
some
degenerate.
amazing people.
Like, no, it's yeah, it's yeah. I kind of had a weird upbringing. My biological mom raised me Mormon, LDS, and then my stepmom, who's Cuban, she kind of somewhat raised me Catholic, and so I kind of got brought up in both churches. So from a young age, got a very wide education when it comes to religion.
How old were you when when your stepmom came in and that
Like
switch
3.
happened? Okay. Oh, but you still
Yeah,
spent
no, it was.
time with both your mom and
Yeah,
stepmom?
yeah. It's
Okay.
I split time between like I'd spend summers with my dad and stepmom, and then like the regular school year I'd spent for the most part. And then there was times in high school where I went and lived in Miami, and that's when I went to the public school down there. And I had to learn how to fight because and I also learned what you were talking about, that schools in Utah were behind the schools in Miami. So I had a lot of catching
Yeah.
up to do when I went down to Miami. And the school I went to in Miami was like, I want to say it was the largest in the nation. Like I think we had like 8,000 or 10,000 students. It was ridiculous.
Oh
It
shit.
was, yeah, it was insanely huge.
Damn, that's a lot
And
of
just
kids.
full. Well, dude, it was full of people from Brazil and Colombia and Cuba, and I was like one of the only white kids. So like on a daily basis,
You're
I was
getting
like having
fucked
to
up.
fight. Oh, dude, I got fucked up on a daily basis, and but I just always fought back, and I never went and told the teachers or anything. And so eventually, they all became my buddies, and so yeah,
Yep.
no,
Respect, man.
but it
Hey,
was
if you can take it
it was a
for a
rough
certain amount of
road.
time, hey.
Well, dude, it starts out one on one, but if you start getting the better of one, then somebody
Mhm.
punches you in the back of the head, and it's just yeah, it's interesting. It was a very big culture shock.
Yeah, fuck.
Where's the money? Catholics. My greatest mentor is LDS.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
my dad was he I didn't grow up with my dad, but he went to Catholic mass and stuff
mm,
over the years, but he didn't really take me to church at all, but when he did come around and see me, we didn't go to church, but my mom was raised Methodist, so we went to a Methodist and baptized Methodist, but up until when we moved to Carolina, it was Southern Baptist and like non-denominational. But it was just
yeah.
interesting to see the differences and going to like Southern Baptist churches and having people wear casual clothes and not dressed up, and it was really weird to see. But then you see like these pastors with these fucking big houses, and my
Dude,
dad was
yeah.
like, "What the fuck are you doing, man? I don't." Yeah, it's
I
just
actually
some of the
was
stuff.
I was actually studied I actually studied to be a Baptist youth pastor, which is kind of
Mm.
like the apprentice of the pastor. And
Yeah.
that's what turned me off to it was, as I learned, I realized that it was basically a money making operation for the pastor. It was in
Yeah.
Michigan, and he'd go visit these old people on their deathbed, that went to the church, and they would will, their, what little they had to him, and the guy had like a boat and multiple cars and a huge house, and the church was paid off, and it was like it was so sad to watch, but I won't go down that rabbit hole. But
Okay.
C90, you need to get a camera and a mic. I can tell you'd be an interesting
yeah,
dude to
man.
have on.
Yeah, I know he's in he's all over the place, man. We gotta get him on. I've actually got to jump off soon. We got dinner and some friends.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're about to get cut off actually. So we can definitely wrap this up, man. I appreciate you jumping on, Jeff.
Oh yeah,
I
man.
really do.
It's good to talk a little more about stuff other than crypto. Current events and shit. Especially this, where there's, I caught myself for a split second last night looking at all this stuff. All these people hollering and the concerns, and like, am I like just checking my own ego? Am I caught up in this side of things? And I'm like, deep down, no, fraud is fraud. And whether there is some validity behind or concerns behind the control or power that Elon has with what's going on, we need to root this evil out that's been there before any of Elon or Trump have been involved in any of this. So it's got to be done. If we break some stuff, we're going to fucking break some stuff, but we'll fix it. And whatever collateral damage, whatever collateral damage there, with everything else, there's going to be some collateral damage a little bit, but as long as you mitigate that and try and make things as smooth as possible, it's just got to be done, man. The people are fucking hurting. So yeah, and raising the alarm and actually bringing the receipts and showing like, hey, how can you spin this? It's fraud, and it's against our country. It's treason, not fraud. It's treason, man.
Dude, funding fucking Taliban.
Yeah,
like we can't all left, right, middle. We can't agree that fucking billions of dollars to our fucking enemy. That that's not treason. Equipping a terrorist group with all those weapons and cash and the intelligence and the biometric data of all the Afghanis that were helping us, the linguists and the interrogators and all that stuff.
The infrastructure, man. That all people forget about all that stuff, and they just think.
Well, no, but they're like a lot of people don't realize they had done some movies that touched on it. Is like a lot of the special operations units and a lot of the units that were going out into the in Afghanistan, they had interpreters with them. So basically, it was people that knew the local area and had connections and spoke the language, and they could kind of bridge that gap, and and give intel and stuff like that. They were promised that they would get and their family would be brought to the U.S. and be given a new life, because it's a death sentence. After we pulled out, it would be a death sentence for them. And a bunch of them went into hiding, and like thousands of them and their families were just murdered after we pulled out, because we left. It's like, what do you think is going to happen next conflict we have, and we're trying to get people to help us? They're going to say, "Fuck you."
Is that like a Benghazi 2.0?
Oh, worse than Benghazi. Worse than Benghazi. I mean, dude, there's anybody that knows about that. They are not going to help the U.S. The U.S. burned like all future bridges for indigenous peoples to help us in the future. So
yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I got us going again.
Talk all day, man.
Dude,
I appreciate you guys. Yeah,
No,
I'm gonna jump
C90,
off, but
feel
I'll
welcome.
see you
All right,
guys.
man. We'll talk to you later. Have a good night. C90,
Later,
feel
Mike.
free to capture the chat whenever you want, brother. It's not like we have 80 people in here chatting it up. But yeah, so yeah, no, C90. I do these from time to time, just kind of on the cuff. If you want to reach out to me on X, and anybody that's listening, if you ever want to jump on a show and you're an interesting individual and have some quality information or receipts that you want to bring or alpha on these types of topics, by all means reach out to me. I would love to give people a platform to speak their mind, and as long as they have something interesting to say. So with that, I'll wish you all a good evening, and Veteran Crypto out.